The papers slid across the coffee table toward me. My uncle didn't look up when he said, "We already signed. This just makes it official." My mother nodded like this was normal, like I was the one behind. Those papers had my business name on them. The one I'd built alone. The one I'd never agreed to give away. My hands shook, but I didn't touch them. I stared at the documents, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Partnership agreement. Profit distribution. Decision-making authority. My name was there, but so were theirs. My uncle, my mother, my cousin. 3 people who'd never invested $1. Never worked a single hour. Never even asked if this was what I wanted. My heartbeat was so loud I could barely hear the rest of their words. They were talking about percentages. About what was fair. About how much easier this would be for everyone. No one asked if I agreed. I realized I was never part of the decision. I was just the obstacle they'd already decided to overcome. My mother leaned forward, her voice gentle. "You don't need full control, Kayla. You should be grateful we're helping." Helping. The word hit me like a slap. I swallowed hard as something inside me dropped. This wasn't help. This was theft dressed up as family loyalty. My uncle tapped the papers with his pen. "Just sign it. We've already started making improvements. The sooner we formalize this, the sooner we can move forward." I looked around the living room. The same couch I'd sat on as a kid. The same coffee table where I'd done homework. The same people who'd raised me to believe family loyalty meant not making things uncomfortable. My cousin, Tyler, sat in the corner, scrolling his phone. He'd been silent this whole time. Not because he disagreed. Because he didn't care. As long as he got his cut, none of this mattered to him. I felt my throat tighten. "When did you decide this?" I asked quietly. My mother frowned. "We've been discussing it for weeks. You've been so busy, we didn't want to bother you with details." I stared at the papers again. My business name. The one I'd chosen. The one I'd registered. The one I'd built from nothing. Robinson Digital Solutions. It had taken me 3 years to get here. 3 years of sleepless nights, failed pitches, and near bankruptcy. 3 years of hearing "maybe next time" and "we'll get back to you." 3 years of eating ramen and skipping meals so I could afford software subscriptions. And now they were sitting here, telling me they'd already signed away my control. My uncle cleared his throat. "Kayla, you're being emotional. This is just business." I looked at him. Really looked at him. He'd never run a business. He'd worked the same factory job for 20 years and complained about his boss every holiday. And now he was telling me how to run mine. Something inside me shifted. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a quiet, cold clarity. They took everything I built. They didn't take the proof. My name is Kayla Robinson. I'm 28 years old. I'm a white American woman raised in a small town in Ohio where family loyalty was supposed to mean everything. I grew up in this house. Same couch. Same table. Same expectations. I was always the capable one. The one who could handle it. When my father left when I was 10, I became the helper. The one who picked up slack without being asked. The one who made things easier for everyone else. My younger brother, Tyler, was protected. Excused. Forgiven. I was relied on. When things went wrong, I adjusted. When things went right, it was assumed. That's just how Kayla is. She can handle anything. I learned early that being strong meant being invisible. That my needs didn't matter as much as everyone else's comfort. I learned to carry weight without complaining. To fix problems without asking for help. To disappear into responsibility until I forgot I was allowed to want things for myself. That's how I ended up here. Sitting in my childhood living room. Staring at papers that would steal everything I'd built. I started my business in my childhood bedroom. I was 25. No savings. No help. Just a laptop I'd bought on credit and a folding table from a thrift store. I worked my day job at a call center, then came home and worked until 3 in the morning. Building websites. Designing logos. Writing copy for small businesses that couldn't afford agencies. I didn't tell my family what I was doing. Not because I was hiding it. Because I knew they wouldn't take it seriously. When I finally told them I'd registered an LLC, my mother smiled politely. "That's nice, honey. Just don't quit your real job." My uncle laughed. "Everyone's got a side hustle these days." Tyler didn't even look up from his video game. No one asked what I was building, what I wanted, what I needed. They just assumed it was another phase. Another thing Kayla would try and quietly abandon when it got hard. But I didn't quit. I worked harder. I landed bigger clients. I quit the call center. I rented a small office. I hired a part-time assistant. And that's when everything changed. When the business finally made money, everything changed. Suddenly there were opinions, advice, interest. My mother started telling her friends about our family business. My uncle asked if I needed help with finances. Tyler wondered if there was a position for him. I thought they were proud. I thought they finally saw what I'd built. But pride wasn't what I was hearing. It was ownership. They started saying we built this. We invested time. We deserve a say. First, I thought I was misunderstanding. That they were just being supportive. Using inclusive language to show they cared. But then my uncle started showing up at my office unannounced. Asking to see my books. Suggesting I hire his friend's son. Making comments about how I should be more aggressive with pricing. My mother started calling clients directly. Introducing herself as my business partner. Offering discounts without asking me. Noticed. I didn't push back. Not yet. Because I'd been trained my whole life to be accommodating. To not make waves. To let things go for the sake of peace. I kept records because that's what responsible business owners do. Emails, invoices, contracts, banking statements. Every transaction documented. Every agreement in writing. I didn't do it because I didn't trust my family. I did it because I trusted myself to be prepared. My business professor in community college had drilled it into us. Document everything. Verbal agreements mean nothing. Paper trails save lives. So I saved everything. Every email my mother sent to clients without my permission. Every decision my uncle made about my finances without asking. Every time Tyler showed up late to meetings I hadn't invited him to. I organized it all in labeled folders on my computer. Not because I thought I'd need it. Just because it felt right. Because somewhere deep down, I knew that the moment things went well, people would start rewriting history. They'd start claiming credit. Start believing they'd been there all along. And I'd need proof of the truth. They made their first decision without telling me 6 months ago. I came into the office one morning and found new furniture. A receptionist I hadn't hired. Business cards with my uncle's name listed as CFO. I stared at the cards, my stomach dropping. "Surprise," my mother said, appearing from the back room. "We upgraded." "Who approved this?" I asked. She frowned. "I did. We needed to look more professional." "With whose money?" "The business account." "Don't worry, it'll pay for itself." I felt my jaw tighten. "You can't just spend business money without asking me." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Kayla, don't be dramatic. I'm helping. You should be grateful." Corrected it calmly. I returned the furniture. I let the receptionist go as gently as I could. I shredded the business cards. My mother called that night. "Why are you being so controlling? We're family. We're supposed to help each other." I didn't know how to explain that help required consent. So I didn't. I just added the receipts to my folder. It happened again 2 weeks later. My uncle had signed a contract with a vendor. A printing company that would handle our marketing materials. The contract locked us in for 2 years at rates 3 times higher than what I'd been paying. "I negotiated a great deal," he said proudly when I confronted him. "This isn't a great deal. This is a ripoff." He bristled. "I've been working for 30 years. I know how to negotiate. Not for my business, you don't." His face darkened. "Your business. I thought we were family." There it was again. Family. The word they used to justify everything. The shield they hid behind whenever I tried to set a boundary. I cancelled the contract. I paid the early termination fee out of my own pocket. I documented everything. The contract, cancellation, a fee. My uncle's response when I told him, "You're making a mistake," he'd said. "One day you'll realize you need us more than we need you." I saved that too. A neutral professional asked who officially owned the business. It was a lawyer I'd consulted about trademarking. He was reviewing my paperwork when he looked up and said, "So you're the sole owner, correct?" He nodded. "Yes. And these other names listed as contacts, are they shareholders? Partners?" "No. They're family. They've been helping out." He frowned. "Helping out or working for the company?" "I don't know. They just started showing up." He set down his pen. "You need to clarify this immediately. If they're making decisions, signing contracts, or representing themselves as partners, you could have a legal problem." The room felt smaller suddenly. What kind of problem? The kind where they could claim partial ownership based on sweat equity or implied partnership. Especially if there's no documentation saying otherwise. My chest tightened. "But it's my business. I started it. I own it. On paper, yes. But if they can prove they've been operating as partners, a court might disagree." I left that office shaking. That's when I knew I needed to act. I asked why decisions were being made without me. It was Sunday dinner. The whole family was there. Kept my voice calm. "I need us to be clear about roles. I'm grateful for your support, but I need to make final decisions about my business." My uncle laughed. Not a friendly laugh. A dismissive one. "Here we go." My mother sighed. "Why are you making this into a problem?" "I'm not. I'm just setting boundaries." Tyler finally looked up from his phone. "Boundaries? We're family." "Exactly," I said. "Which is why this should be easy. I run the business. You all support me. But the final decisions are mine." The table went silent. My uncle leaned back in his chair. "You wouldn't have a business without us." "What do you mean? Who do you think got you your first 3 clients? Who do you think gave you office furniture? Who's been promoting you to everyone we know?" I blinked. "I appreciate that. But that doesn't mean you own part of my company." He smiled. Cold. Calculated. Maybe not legally. But morally. "We're invested." Other relatives started calling. Aunts, cousins, family friends. They repeated things I'd never said. Accusations I'd never made. "I heard you told your uncle he was useless. I heard you're cutting your mother out after everything she's done for you. I heard you think you're better than everyone." I realized the story was being told without me in it. They were controlling the narrative. Painting me as ungrateful. Selfish. Too big for my own good. I tried to correct it at first. Calling people back. Explaining what really happened. But it didn't matter. They'd already decided what to believe. Family loyalty meant believing my mother and uncle. Questioning me. I stopped arguing. Stopped explaining. I stepped back and watched. I watched my uncle tell people he was the CFO. I watched my mother introduce herself as co-founder. I watched Tyler list my company on his resume under work experience. And I documented all of it. Screenshots of social media posts. Recordings of voicemails. Emails where they contradicted themselves. I wasn't building a case yet. But I was preparing for the inevitable. They finalized control while assuming I'd fold. That's what the papers on the coffee table were. A partnership agreement they drafted without me. They'd gone to a lawyer. Paid for documents. Made it official in their minds. All they needed was my signature. "This protects everyone," my uncle explained. "If something happens to you, the business continues. If you want to sell, we all get a say. It's just smart planning." I stared at the papers. And my name printed next to theirs. At the percentages that gave them 60% control combined. They'd left me 40%. Of my own business. "When did you plan this?" I asked. My mother shifted uncomfortably. "We've been talking about it for a while. We didn't want to worry you." "Worry me. This is my company. My uncle's patience was thinning. Kayla, stop being childish. This is how family businesses work. This isn't a family business. It's my business. He slammed his hand on the table. Sign the papers. I looked at him. Really looked at him. Then at my mother. Then at Tyler. They thought I'd fold. They'd mistaken my silence for surrender. Picked up the papers. And I walked out. I went straight to my lawyer's office. It was Sunday, but I called her emergency line. She met me an hour later. I spread the papers across her desk. They want me to sign this. She read through it carefully. When she finished, she looked at me with something close to shock. You didn't agree to this? No. Have they been acting as partners? Making decisions? Yes. Do you have proof you never authorized it? Pulled out my phone. I'd backed everything up to the cloud. Every email. Every text. Every contract they'd signed without permission. Every expense they'd approved without asking. Every client they'd contacted on behalf of a company they didn't own. She scrolled through it for 10 minutes. Finally she looked up. Kayla, this is airtight. They have no legal claim to your business. None. Relief flooded through me. So I don't have to sign. Absolutely not. In fact, I'd recommend you take immediate steps to protect yourself. Remove their access to accounts. Clarify in writing that they have no ownership. Consider a cease and desist if they continue. He nodded. Do it. All of it. I organized everything that night. Every document in order. Every timeline clean. Bank statements showing I'd never paid them salaries. Registration documents showing I was the sole owner. Emails showing I'd repeatedly asked them to stop making decisions. Contracts I'd canceled that they'd signed without permission. Text messages where they'd ignored my boundaries. Social media posts where they'd misrepresented their roles. I didn't feel angry. Felt clear. This wasn't revenge. This was protection. This was me finally standing up for what I'd built. Created a timeline. A visual representation of every overstep. Every boundary violation. Every decision made without me. It was undeniable. It was thorough. It was the truth. I sent it all to my lawyer. She called me an hour later. This is even better than I thought. If they push back, we have everything we need. What happens now? Now we send them a letter. Make it clear you're the sole owner. That they have no authority. That any further misrepresentation will result in legal action. Took a breath. Send it. The letter arrived at my mother's house 3 days later. My phone exploded within an hour. 17 missed calls. 32 text messages. Voicemails ranging from confused to furious. I didn't answer. I let them spiral. I let them panic. Because for the first time they didn't control the narrative. The letter was clear. Kayla Robinson is the sole owner of Robinson Digital Solutions. Any claims of partnership, ownership, or authority are false and must cease immediately. Any further misrepresentation may result in legal action. It was signed by my lawyer. Official. Undeniable. My mother left a voicemail crying. How could you do this to us? After everything we've done for you. We're family. My uncle left one yelling. You're making the biggest mistake of your life. You'll regret this. Tyler left one that was almost sad. I don't understand. I thought we were helping. I saved all of them. Added them to my folder. Because even now they didn't get it. They didn't understand that help requires consent. That family doesn't mean ownership. That love doesn't mean control. Their version of events didn't match the paperwork. That became clear when my uncle tried to argue his case. He called a family meeting. Invited aunts, uncles, cousins. Turned it into a trial where I was the defendant. She's trying to push us out, he told everyone. After we built this business with her. I sat quietly while he talked. While he listed everything he'd done. The clients he'd referred. The furniture he'd bought. The advice he'd given. When he finished, I opened my laptop. I pulled up the folder. Can I show everyone what actually happened? The room shifted. Uncomfortable. Uncertain. I started with the bank statements. These show every transaction in my business account. You'll notice there's no record of any investment from anyone in this family. I pulled up the LLC registration. This shows I'm the sole owner. Filed 3 years ago. No other names listed. I showed the emails. These show me repeatedly asking family members to stop making decisions without my permission. The room was silent now. My uncle's face was red. This is ridiculous. You can't reduce family to paperwork. I'm not. I'm just showing the truth. Questions were asked. By relatives who'd assumed my uncle was telling the truth. By cousins who'd believed I was being ungrateful. By aunts who'd thought I was pushing family away. So you never agreed to make them partners? One aunt asked. Never. And they were making decisions without asking. Constantly. Did you ever tell them to stop? I pulled up more emails. More text. More voicemails. Multiple times. The mood in the room changed. People started looking at my uncle and mother differently. With doubt. With suspicion. My mother tried to salvage it. We were just trying to help. We didn't know she felt this way. I told you, I said quietly. Multiple times. You just didn't listen. My uncle stood up. This is a betrayal. You're choosing money over family. No, I said. I'm choosing truth over manipulation. He stormed out. My mother followed. Tyler stayed looking lost. Several relatives approached me after. Quietly. Apologetically. We didn't know, one said. We should have asked your side. He nodded. I didn't gloat. I just felt tired. And relieved. The tone changed after that. Now they wanted to talk. To work it out. To remind me we're family. My mother called. Her voice was different. Muller. Can we please just sit down and work this out? I don't want this to tear us apart. Neither do I said. But I need you to understand something. You don't get to take what's mine and call it help. We weren't taking. We were contributing. Contributing would have been asking first. This was taking. She was quiet for a long moment. What do you want from us? I want you to stop representing yourselves as owners. Stop making decisions. Stop using my business for your benefit. That's it. That's it. She sighed. Your uncle won't like it. That's not my problem. She hung up. I knew it wasn't over. But at least the boundaries were clear now. At least the truth was out. At least I wasn't the only one who knew what had really happened. My mother cried during our next conversation. Why are you doing this to us? She asked, her voice breaking. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't get angry. I just answered honestly. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm just not fixing this for you anymore. Fixing what? The story you created. The one where you're the victims and I'm the ungrateful daughter. I'm not going to fix it. I'm not going to apologize for protecting what's mine. I'm not going to shrink myself so you feel better. Sub. I don't understand how we got here. We got here because you took without asking. Because you ignored every boundary I set. Because you thought family meant you could do whatever you wanted without consequences. So what now? We just stop being family. No. We start being honest. We start respecting boundaries. We start treating each other like people, not possessions. She didn't respond. The line went quiet. Then she hung up. I sat in the silence of my apartment, feeling the weight lift. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt free. Their control unraveled quietly. Not with yelling. Not with drama. Just consequences they'd never planned for. I removed their access to everything. Email. Bank accounts. Client list. Vendor contacts. I sent formal letters to everyone they'd contacted on my behalf. Please note that only Kayla Robinson is authorized to make decisions for Robinson Digital Solutions. Any previous communications from other parties should be disregarded. I changed locks on the office. I updated my website to remove any mention of family involvement. I scrubbed their names from every document, every contract, every piece of marketing material. They tried to fight it. My uncle threatened to sue. My lawyer sent a response so thorough, so documented, that he backed down within days. You have no legal standing, her letter said. Any further action will be considered harassment. He stopped calling after that. My mother tried guilt. Everyone thinks you're heartless. Everyone's talking about what you did. Let them talk, I said. The people who matter know the truth. She stopped calling too. Tyler was the only one who eventually apologized. I didn't understand, he admitted. I thought we were helping. I didn't realize we were taking. I appreciated it. But I didn't give him a role in my business. Some boundaries were permanent. They lost authority over what they'd never built. Access closed. Assumptions failed. For the first time they had no leverage. No control. No say in what happened next. And I rebuilt. I hired a real CFO. Someone with credentials and experience. Someone who understood boundaries. I brought on a marketing director. I expanded my team with people who wanted to work, not just benefit. The business grew faster than it ever had. Because I wasn't wasting energy managing family drama. Because decisions got made by people who knew what they were doing. Because I could finally focus on the work instead of the politics. Within 6 months, revenue doubled. Within a year, I was hiring faster than I could train. I moved into a bigger office. I won industry awards. I got featured in local business magazines. And not once did my family take credit. Because they couldn't. The proof was clear. The timeline was documented. The truth was undeniable. I'd built this alone. And I'd protected it alone. I slept peacefully for the first time in years. No more anxiety about what decision they'd make without me. No more dread about opening my email. No more walking on eggshells trying to keep everyone happy. I woke up excited about work. I made decisions confidently. I said no without guilt. I hired people I trusted. I built systems that protected what I'd created. I learned something important through all of this. Boundaries aren't cruel. They're necessary. And the people who call them cruel are usually the ones who benefited from you not having any. My family wasn't evil. They weren't monsters. They were just people who'd been taught that family loyalty meant unlimited access. That helping meant taking control. That love meant ownership. They couldn't see the difference between support and suffocation. And I couldn't make them see it. All I could do was protect myself, document the truth, and walk away from people who refused to respect what I'd built. It's been 2 years since I walked out of that living room with those papers. My relationship with my family is complicated now. I talk to Tyler occasionally. He's working a real job now, building his own thing. He gets it in a way he didn't before. My mother and I exchange texts on holidays. Brief, polite, distant. There's no warmth there anymore. Just formality. My uncle and I don't speak. I heard through relatives that he tells people I got too big for the family. That I chose money over blood. I don't correct it anymore. The people who matter know the truth. The ones who don't aren't my responsibility. My business is thriving. I'm thriving. I bought a house. I travel. I sleep through the night. I laugh without wondering if I'll pay for it later. And sometimes I think about that moment in the living room. When I saw those papers with my business name on them. When I realized they'd tried to take everything I'd built. They thought I'd fold. They thought I'd sign. They thought family loyalty would make me sacrifice what was mine. But they didn't count on one thing. Kept the proof. If you've ever built something from nothing, only to watch people try to claim it, know this. You're not wrong for protecting what's yours. You're not selfish for setting boundaries. You're not ungrateful for demanding respect. My family took everything I built. Or they tried to. But they didn't take the proof. They didn't take the documentation. They didn't take the timeline that showed exactly what happened and when. And when I walked away, I didn't lose my family. I lost the version of myself that believed I had to disappear to belong. I lost the girl who thought accommodation was love. I lost the person who shrunk herself to make others comfortable. What I gained was freedom. Clarity is the ability to build something that was truly mine, without interference, without manipulation, without having to choose between my success and their comfort. So if you're reading this and you see yourself in my story, document everything. Keep records, save emails, screenshot text, because one day you might need proof that you built what you built, that you own what you own, that you're not crazy for remembering what actually happened. The truth will set you free. But first you have to preserve it. And when you do, walk away with your head high. Because you didn't take anything from them. You just stopped letting them take from you.